It's a match preview, West Ham versus Arsenal, and one of those that, considering the fact that we've beaten them twice already this season, you'd think we'd be going into this with a fair bit of confidence, and possibly Arsenal going into it feeling a bit anxious, which possibly they are. But I think you'd be forgiven as a West Ham fan for actually not feeling overly confident. Well, I'm certainly not anyway, going into this, considering our form so far this season. Before I get into the video, though, and talk about Arsenal first, and then go on to West Ham, I just want to remind everyone that we're giving away a West Ham top. We give one away every month. We're doing it for the whole season, absolutely free. And all you need to do is be a subscriber. So if you're not a subscriber, just click the subscribe button. Free to do so. So why not? And we're doing it next weekend. We're giving away doing the video giveaway. So do make sure that you're subscribed for that. So before we get into talking about West Ham and the team news, David Moyes, things like that, let's talk about Arsenal. They're coming off the back of a huge win last weekend against Liverpool, of course. It was a big win for Arsenal. I talked about it earlier in a podcast, actually, on Patreon this week regarding Arsenal and their celebrations. Look, I've got no problem with teams celebrating, of course, because it's football, isn't it? You know what I mean? This is what we're supposed to be doing. Do you know what I mean? What's the point if you're not going to enjoy a win? I do think, though, they do sort of fall into that category where they possibly over-celebrate a little bit too much, Arsenal. I do think that. I think they haven't really learnt their lessons from previous years, where they just sort of act their behaviour as if the job's done. As I say, great win for them. And it's going to give them a boost going into this game. But, yeah, I do think that the way that they behave sometimes is just doesn't warrant the position they're in, because they're still behind Liverpool and Manchester City at the moment. And the pressure's on them, of course, going into this game today. It really is. And they will want revenge against West Ham. West Ham, of course, knocked them out the Carabao Cup early in the season with a 3-1 win at London Stadium. And again, we dominated, really played really well. And then, of course, we beat them earlier in the season in the Premier League at the Emirates, beat them 2-0. A typical sort of, it was the David Moyes setup that never works, but worked that day. You know, Arsenal just had no answers. West Ham were just so solid, and we were just lethal on the counter and on the set pieces. I suspect that's going to be a similar game plan today. But you get the feeling Mikel Arteta is going to set up slightly differently today. I think they're going to have to be very ruthless today, Arsenal, and I think they will be. I think they will be very aware of what's at stake, and they want to exact revenge on West Ham. So there's no two ways about it. In terms of their mentality going into this, I just think it's going to be a different affair. This one, it really is. It's going to be tough for both sides. I don't think we're not going to be a walkover, I'm sure, but I think Arsenal are going to be a little bit of a different beast today at London Stadium. Mikel Arteta, talked about him before. He's one of those managers. I imagine if you're an Arsenal fan, you'd love him. If he was a West Ham manager, I think we'd all love him. Do you know what I mean? But as an opposition, I just can't stand the guy. I think he's just got a real way about him. I don't like the way it's weird, because he comes across quite gentlemanly, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? When he talks, he comes across quite softly spoken. He's quite charming in a certain way, you know, unless they lose, of course. But then his behaviour is so different, so starkly different to what you see when he talks. You know what I mean? I mean, as a player, when I look back at Arteta, I can't recall that side of him. Or I certainly can't. Seeing that side of him very much when he was a player. He seems quite a reserved guy on the pitch. You know, he never seemed to get too animated, and was quite level-headed. But as a manager, he's a totally different beast. And yeah, and you saw him last week, you know, with the whole fist pumping. And I mean, we all know that's clearly directed at Jurgen Klopp, clearly directed to wind them up. And I don't mind that in a way, because in a certain way, it's like, it's mind games, isn't it? It's like, you know, Ferguson used to do it like mind games, but I just think he does lack a little bit of class at times when he does things like that. Arteta, you can see why he's just not liked. I mean, I'm not a bloke. I don't like him. Don't like the bloke at all. But I do respect him as a manager. Very, very good. He's been excellent for Arsenal. There's no two ways about it. He is exactly what that club needed, and have needed for a long time, to start competing. And they are competing. They are a very, very good side. And there's a difference about Arsenal this season. There's that sort of, they know how to win ugly. You know what I mean? They've learned how to get the job done, even when they've probably not necessarily deserved it, or they've got that way that it reminds me of Man United in the 90s, where they used to just, they played into that very final whistle. You know, they'd be losing 2-0, and even if it was 85 minutes played, they were still, we're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. We're going to get back in this game. Now, Arsenal have got that way about them a little bit this season, and I think that's a sign of champions. But I'm not in the belief that they are going to be champions this season. I just think that the competition in terms of especially Manchester City is just a little bit too fierce for them. It's obviously today's going to be telling because let's be frank, they're against West Ham, who's their bogey side this season. That they will. I hate the fact when a name is a bogey side because it makes it sound like we're sort of scraping relegation. They were just, we are a decent side. We know that we're not a poor side, but the fact is we have beaten them twice, and they will be very aware of it. I'm sure Arsenal fans will be going into this game today, possibly even Arsenal players and management will be feeling, oh, West Ham, we've experienced this twice already. There will be an element of nerve there, but whether they'll be able to turn that, I'm sure that's what Arteta will be trying to do into sort of like an aggression, like a revenge tactic. Like we are not going to let them do it. Let them do us again because we got a big result over them at the Emirates. A huge result, and that's a big 3 points for them. They'll see lost. They would have expected to win that game, and to come away with nothing was big for them. I think the Carabao Cup's probably not as damning for them. I don't think that's going to be too much of a concern ultimately, because I think they've possibly got bigger fish to fry this season in terms of the Champions League and Premier League. Of course, I think Premier League's their main target, isn't it? But make no mistake, they'll be feeling it today. I think like we will be. It's a big game, London derby. Obviously, you've got the Declan Rice added to it as well to add that extra bit of spice to it. So I'm expecting a really feisty affair actually, and I really am hoping it's going to be quite a noisy atmosphere because we haven't seen much of that, have we? This season at London Stadium. There's been a few games now where it's been pretty flat. I really don't like this whole slate in the stadium for the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Because we've been there before and it's been rocking. I don't believe that. And I think people forget Upton Park sometimes. They always have this sort of ideology that Upton Park was always rocking. It wasn't. When we weren't doing great, weren't playing that well, it was silent. Do you know what I mean? It's not to do really necessarily with the ground. It's to do what we're seeing on the pitch. The debate of West Ham's style of football is obviously a big one this season with David Moyes' contract coming to an end at the end of the season, with a new deal looking more likely than not at this stage for the manager. But I think it's one of them days today that we're going to need the atmosphere. We're going to need a bit of noise behind us. We need a bit of, and the players need to also provide that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the management needs to provide that. They need to get that ball on the floor, play some football, and show that we're really up for it. I think we will. I mean, West Ham, we are. Let's be honest, we are good at upsetting the bigger clubs when we have to. We really are. We are a thorn in the side to some of these clubs at times. And as I say, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen some previews. I've seen a few of the Arsenal fan channels going into this game, and they're not. They are anxious about it. They know that they can beat West Ham. There's no two ways about it. They'll look at West Ham's form this season, seeing how we're playing, and think we can beat this lot. Absolutely, and I agree with that. If I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be thinking exactly the same. But I can also understand why they'll be going to this game thinking, oh, God, this is the team again. You know what I mean? We did them last season, got 2-2, wasn't it? A 2-2 draw at London Stadium when they were 2-up within the first 5 minutes. And effectively, that really dented their title run, didn't it? Their title charge. Because I think it was the week before that, they did exactly the same at Liverpool, 2-up, and ended up drawing 2-2. So it really knocked their confidence. So they will have bad memories of West Ham from last season and this season. So make no mistake, I think there will be an element of nerve there, but they will no doubt want to be putting that right. Before we go on to West Ham, I'll just quickly talk about a couple of players for Arsenal. I mean, you got Saka, he's not having the best of seasons. I'll be honest. I think it's fair to say that he's not quite hit his form just yet, but he's slightly. I've started seeing the last couple of games like creeping back in. He's a very, very good player. There's no two ways about it. It can cause so many problems, and such a good lad. Do you know what I mean? He comes across a really lovely bloke, and one of those players like our Ben Johnson, the way that smile on his face kind of guy. He just seems to enjoy playing football, and he's a difficult player to deal with, and he's going to cause us no end of problems. But we have managed him before, and we have managed to keep him quiet. So we're going to have to be right at it again. He'll be up against Emerson, of course, and who is going to be on the left-hand side of central defence, which you imagine would be Nia Forgerd today. But I'm going to do the team prediction. I personally wouldn't want to see that as a back line at the moment in terms of Forgerd, to be honest. But I'm just going to. I'll come back to it in a minute. Odegaard is possibly. I think. Actually, one of those signings for Arsenal, I think that's not gone under the radar, of course, because it was a big signing. But I think it's forgotten how important he is to them. Because at the time, if I remember rightly, when he came, I think he came on loan from Real Madrid, Odegaard. And I think it was regarded at the time that he was only likely to be a short-stay stint because of how good he is and how Arsenal were at the time. And I remember them getting him, and he's loaned me. He was excellent, really slotted into the Premier League well. very quickly. Could see his quality and his influence on the game. And the fact he then committed his future to Arsenal, I actually found that to be that kind of moment where you thought, oh, okay, this is the sign of a club that are going in the right direction. Arteta's, they are building something special here, because that is a really special player that's then decided to stay at Arsenal. And yeah, I actually think it's one of those transfers that, as I say, didn't go under the radar. I think that's the wrong term, but it certainly doesn't get the talk about as it probably did, because I actually think that was the key catalyst for their sort of turning point from being the Arsenal that we've known for the last 10 years, that have sort of been just going for fourth, you know what I mean? Going for fourth, never really challenging the Champions League, never really challenging anything. When was the last? I mean, it's only been the last 2 seasons out of, say, the last 12 where you would go, Arsenal could win the league this year. I've not seen that before. I've not had it for such a long time. Under Wenger, for a long periods, you never thought, oh yeah, they're going to be challenging for the title. They were always just way off the pace. Whereas you feel now they are a club that have got that DNA now, that are starting to change, that are starting to become Arsenal of old. You know what I mean? Like, when you think back to, I'm talking about the modern era, Patrick Vieira's, Petit and Thierry Henry's, that period when they had some sustained success. I feel like that's sort of coming back. And the reason being as well, because you feel like it's a long-term thing now with Arsenal, is because of the age of the squad. This isn't just a quick fire thing where you think, yeah, it's going to be they'll be intensely good for a couple of years and it'll drop away. I think this is going to be Arsenal for quite a sustained period now, where they're going to be challenging for the title. I mean, it's good for the Premier League, though, in a way, because you want to see other teams challenging. You don't want to see Man City winning it year in, year out without any real challenge. I mean, obviously, of course, Liverpool won it, I don't know, a couple of years ago. But it's always, Man City have always sort of dominated, haven't they? Whereas now you're starting to see some more challenges to it. And I think it's only good for the league. However, I still think Man City are still ahead of Arsenal at the moment. I think once they click into gear, they are just too good. And the pressure's on Arsenal. The pressure is on Arsenal. And of course, got to talk about Declan Rice. Got to make a mention to him. I did it in the preview for the other games as well. You can't talk about Arsenal and not talk about Declan Rice in terms of his influence of this season. He has been an exceptionally good player for them. It's no surprise, is it? Like, you know what I mean? We knew this. It's what pisses me off more than anything. It's because you get these pundits coming out. I think it was this morning. I think I read. Was it Murphy? It might have been Murphy. I think it wrote an article, and Danny Murphy, and he wrote an article. I'm sure it's Danny Murphy. I might be wrong, so I might be getting apologies if I am. But he wrote an article saying players of the season. Declan Rice, player of the season. But it's all this surprise. It's all this like, oh my god, look how good he is. He's had to completely adapt his game and completely change the way he plays. I mean, just get real. Like, he has been a world-class player for years. Like, West Ham fans have known this. This is why we desperately didn't want him to go, because he was that good. We knew we had an exceptional talent on the pitch. And Arsenal, it's almost as if like people forget the fact Arsenal paid 105 million for him. Do you know what I mean? If they bought him for 30 and then he turned into a £100 million player over a season, then yeah, you'd have absolutely every right to go, wow, what a find. I mean, Arsenal have turned this player into, he hadn't turned him into anything. He was that good. He's always been that good. They're saying, his passing's got so much better. No, it hasn't. He was an exceptional distributor of the ball when he was at West Ham. It does wind me up the way that, that they changed the badge and suddenly the view of the modern, the sort of mainstream media, it just completely shifts. Oh, what a world-class player he is now. Like, we've all known how good he is. And so, it's obviously, it's never nice to see one of your academy boys move on and obviously being the stature of Rice will move on and go to, especially a London rival. It's never gone down well, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And he has been an exceptionally good player for them this season, as I say, unsurprising to us. But let's get it right. He did not like it at the Emirates. He did not like that at all, the amount of stick he was getting. You could see it was getting to him. And I think West Ham will be doing it again today. I really do. I think they'll want to give him a little bit of stick. I mean, not in a nasty, horrible way, but just, like it is, like the sort of a pantomime stuff that football is. You know what I mean? I mean, it does make me laugh when you get... I've had a few people say it to me, Arsenal fans saying, I wish you get off Rice's back, and we don't like, why are you having a boo him? Well, at the end of the day, like, we're bloody entitled to give him a bit of stick. He's bloody left us to go to a London rival. I mean, are you telling me Arsenal fans were you applauding Ashley Cole when he went to Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? Were they clapping on Cesc Fabregas when he was running around for Chelsea? You know what I mean? Oh, just do me a favour. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't say, it really does wind me up that. I mean, I think, no, we are well entitled to it. And West Ham fans aren't fuming and angry. I mean, in a day, we've come away from the Rice sale much stronger. Let's get that straight. You know, and we are the players we've managed to bring into the football club have been excellent. I know our form at the moment hasn't been absolutely perfect, but come on, you know, there's no denying West Ham have come out of this. Everyone's a winner. Rice got the move that he wanted. Arsenal got the player they wanted, and West Ham have invested the money well and got stronger. There's no losers in the situation. West Ham are well within their rights, though, to give him a little bit of stick here and there. You know, it's not horrendous, is it? It's not like he's been, you know, chucking bottles at him and stuff, for God's sake. I mean, it's just a bit of banter. I know, it's just one of those things. And it'd be interesting to see actually what the reception will be today and how he handles it. Because as I say, I watched that game at the Emirates when we beat them 2-0, and you could just see from his performance, it was just affecting him. I haven't seen him play like that. He was putting the ball over the place. He was really struggling. He really was. And I think you get the feeling today that there is going to be an element where Arsenal side, when I was talking about earlier, and Rice included, where they want some revenge today. They'll be thinking, we really want to put that to bed, what happened there, because that was a shock result for them. Let's be honest, for us as well. I won't expect us to certainly go there and get a result like that. So it's going to be very interesting. And it'd be interesting to see how they cope, Arsenal, with this, because in terms of nerves, I mean, because I remember last season when we came back from 2-0 down, and it was like 6-7 minutes, they were 2-0 up, something like that. Really, really short space of time. And I thought, oh my God, we're going to get absolute tonking here. But I remember when we then started to play well, we actually responded to the second goal really well and put the ball down. We're playing some good football. And I remember, I think it was Bowen came out on the wing, and he tried to put a cross in, and it went out for a corner, right? And we went, like we did, like, you know, we could sense West Ham were on top. And Arsenal, the fans were like statues, just standing there, like nervous. And because obviously bearing in mind that the result they had the week before at Liverpool, you could see their players, you could just sense nerves. You could just sense it. And West Ham could, you know, went for it, you know, could taste blood. And it'd be interesting to see that today and see how that shifted, if it has shifted, if there, you know, there's a bit more confidence there. Now we're going to get the job done. I suspect there will be a little bit, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Let's go on to West Ham though now. Really, really poor run of form. Let's get it straight. We've been poor this year. We've been poor for a while now. All started with the FA Cup, wasn't it? Really, I mean, we've had injuries which haven't helped. Really derailed us a little bit this season. You look at that league table now and think, oh God, we've really dropped some silly points this season because we could have been in such a far more comfortable position. The results actually haven't been too bad, aside from Newcastle getting a win at Nottingham Forest. They haven't actually been too bad for us. It's a big game for us today. We really do need to see a response. This is probably the perfect tonic, really. Like, you know what I mean? If you really need a result, you need a performance, you want to get the fans back on side, you want to give East London a bit of a lift, a bit of a boost as we go into the sort of second half of the season now, because, well, when I say go into it, we are in it, but you know what I mean? To give us that, because we haven't got going yet this year, which haven't kicked on at all. It would be this, wouldn't it? London derby at home against a team that are chasing the bloody title. Rice is playing for him. Do you know what I mean? This could be the perfect tonic. It's going to be very, very tough, though, of course. But we are on a poor run of form. I mean, it really has been difficult. And we're missing Lucas Paqueta big time. That's not helping. But that being said, we've got some really good players out there. There's no denying this team is good enough to cause Arsenal problems. There's no two ways about it, with or without Paqueta. Of course, losing him is a big blow. We'll come to him in a sec. But we are on a poor run of form, and it needs to change. And we've obviously got this sort of David Moyes deal lingering in the background. We'll do a video on that tomorrow. We'll do a little bit. We'll do a review, obviously, of this game. But I do want to talk a bit more about this David Moyes situation because, yeah, there's more to talk about, actually, in terms of his deal and what's going on with that, because it's a story that's just rumbling on. It's depressing. I find it, actually. I find it a little bit annoying, this whole Moyes in, Moyes out, Moyes in. It's so frustrating. But I totally get it all of it. But it's so frustrating, isn't it? Because it's like a constant all the time. You know, we win and it's he's got to get a new deal, and we lose. Oh my God, he's got to get sacked. It's just all the time. We're sort of becoming the modern day bloody Arsenal with Wenger. Do you know what I mean? In and out. It's driving me a little bit potty, really. But we will be doing a video on it this week. Tomorrow, as I say, I'll record it tomorrow. So it might be out either tomorrow or Tuesday, but we've got some more information on it. XWHU employees obviously can provide more updates on it as it comes. But as I say, we'll elaborate more on that on another day. But yeah, I don't think that's helping us this season at the moment, actually, this second half season, this constant talk all the time. Talks about Lucas Paqueta. I don't think he's going to be available, from what I understand. At this stage, I haven't heard anything other than to suggest that he's not going to be available, because He's recovering from this thigh injury. It's one of those, isn't it, that if he's got a chance of playing, what do you do? If let's just say he's 90% fit, 95% fit. Do you risk him? Do you say, look, go out there, get us the result and help us try and get over the line against Arsenal today? I mean, of course, being a West Ham fan, you go, yes, just get him out there. But then at the same time, if you think about it logically, these are not the games that are going to get us European football. Realistically, you imagine when they list out the games every season or for the month, or however they do it, month by month, whatever. I say, how many points are we expecting to achieve? You don't look at Arsenal game and go, that's 3 points. We're going to get a win there. Of course, the pressure is on more because of our recent results. Of course, we've drawn with Bournemouth, Sheffield United, and we've had some really crappy results of late. And of course, Manchester United, of course, losing that game. So we really do need to pick up points because we have dropped points significantly. But you do wonder if Paqueta is touch and go, will they risk him? I don't think so. I think they'll look at future games. They'll look at the Brentford game and go, that's the game we want to bring him back for because that's the game we can go and get a result. That's more likely. That's my feeling on it. Is David Moyes playing games? He's done it before. Do you know what I mean? We know he's good at this. He does do this quite a fair bit of suggesting players are out, no chance of playing, and all of a sudden they're starting. But as I say, I just don't think it's the case with Paqueta. I don't. Antonio. Moyes was quite adamant, wasn't he, when he spoke about it in the press conference that he wasn't going to be playing. Mikel Antonio is another one, though, that is possibly on the other side, though. I think there's a chance, I think, more of Mick. Reason being, because he's been training. He's been training for a while. He's been in first team training now for over a week. So that's not to say I think he'll be starting, but I think he possibly could be on the bench. We've kind of known. I think he was a touch and go to even be making an appearance against Manchester United. So I've got a sneaky feeling Antonio could be involved. I really think he is actually going to be a really important player for us. And I'll tell you why. I know that his form wasn't wonderful early in the season. He started the season well, but then he sort of tailed off, didn't he? But having that option, I mean, West Ham did bugger all in the January transfer window. I know we got Calvin Phillips in, but in terms of what we needed, it wasn't good enough. Having Antonio is going to be a real big plus point because we've got another striker. We've got a striker and put Bowen out on the left, Bowen out on the left, Kudus on the right, or vice versa. It just gives us a different dimension. And let's be honest, he's a trusted Moyes player, Mikel Antonio. And you'd like to think he'd say, go on, come back fresh and really kick us on for the second half of the season. So I've got a feeling he could be involved, but I'm not confident in that. It's just my gut feeling because I've seen him training quite a fair bit. You think, well, why would he not at least be on the bench? That's just my feeling on it. As I say, it has the potential in a way this going to be a perfect game for West Ham if we can get it right, because this could be if West Ham can get 3 points today. Wow, what a shift in mood it would be. All of a sudden, just that one win would just change the landscape very, very quickly. It would be big. So it's a big game today. Mohamed Kudus, obviously back now from the African Cup of Nations, been back a couple of games. I mean, he's vital to us, and we need to see him back into really good form. And I say, what a better way to do it than play against someone like Arsenal and Jared Bowen as well. I think we need to see them two firing a bit more today. But our defending is the concern for me. It's been a concern all season. We've just been shit. Not good enough. Not good enough defensively this season. And I'm concerned. I really am concerned with Zuma, concerned with Gerd. And I'm going to show that in my lineup. So get your predictions in. Let us know what you think. If you get your predictions right, you enter a draw and you get a gift from our shop. So free to do so. Just whack down your prediction. And also, if you want, let us know what you think. How you want to see the team set up. It's always interesting to see how other people's views and it gives a good discussion point. This is my team today. This is what I would go for if I was the manager. I'd have Areola in goal. I'd have Soufal out on the right. I was touch and go with Johnson, but I think today I just want to see Soufal in there. We're going to need a bit of grit, a bit of toughness today. I want to see Mavropanos and Ogbonna as our centre-backs today. I know it's a bit controversial, but I've not been impressed with Zuma for a while. He's too injured to me. I've not been overly impressed. No, he's not a bad defender. He's not been performing badly, but I'm worried about him. I'm worried about his injuries. I'm just worried about him. He looks so uncomfortable, and I just want to see a bit more comfort in the back today. I want to see a bit more. And I was so encouraged by that performance between Mavropanos and Ogbonna actually at Arsenal in the season. I just want to see it again. I think they deserve it. And Gerd, I'm a bit done with Gerd. I think I'm a bit done with him. I feel like he's had enough time now in the Premier League, enough time at West Ham. I didn't rate his performance at Man United. I really didn't. I've not been impressed with the guy. The rumours were he didn't make himself available before he went to African Cup of Nations because he wanted to be fit for that. That's not good. that's not good. If that is the case, and I understand it to be the case, so that's not a good situation. If you've got a player that's more interested in playing for Morocco than playing for West Ham, I just think that's not the good attitude we want. And I'm just a bit tired of it. The attitude, as I say, you look at that first goal last week, Højlund, wasn't it? That strike to make it 1-0. You just look, the attitude wasn't right from McGurdy. He never really went for it. I just think it's too easy. So I don't actually want to see him play. I know he will. I'm very sure it will be Zuma and Agurd today, but I would have Mavropanos and Ogbonna. Emerson, of course, left back, been excellent this season. Midfield, I'm going to go for Alvarez and Calvin Phillips together. I want James Ward-Prowse ahead of them. I'd have Mohamed Kudus on the right. I'd have Max Cornet on the left and Jared Bowen up front. I'd like to see Antonio as an option today. I really hope he is available. Thomas Souček won't be dropped. I know that. So I imagine he'll be playing as a kind of striker role up front, much like he was at Man United. It's difficult, really, really difficult to see how he's going to set up today and how he's going to win, because I still, Moyes, even though despite all this time he's had, still feels like I don't think he knows his best side. And it's difficult. It is difficult. My predictions today isn't good. I'm going to be honest. I decided rather go with my heart. I went with my head today. I think we're going to lose. I've gone 2-0 to Arsenal. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope West Ham go and prove me wrong. Go and put in a great performance and just lift everybody. Go and get that third win over Arsenal. Let's make it a bloody hat-trick of wins over them. Be amazing. But yeah, I've got to say, my confidence levels aren't so good. So get your scores in anyway. And you've got an opportunity to win something from our shop. And we've got some stuff coming out about our shop coming out this week. I'll tell you about it. But it's to do with Hobbs Memorabilia, who we've got into partnership with the West Ham Way. So you're going to get some amazing products like signed Bowen shirts, and we've got Alvarez, and we've got Di Canio. I mean, it's really amazing stuff. So we'll talk about it more in the week. So, but yeah, as I say, get your scores in. Let us know what you think, and let's see how we get on. Come on, you irons.